I'm sorry, that was not it. I expected again to change it into some passive. And this is exactly the one. Well, here we go. Just to have to deal with these statements, we will have again to get, and we'll come back again. We will have again to get what to do or how to deal with these statements forming the passive each time. Well, the statements may seem something like, as in the given set of things, we will have to make statements depending on the verb tenses in use. Well, back again to this exercise, we are supposed to insert and introduce only the verb form for the verb to be. Change the active to the passive by supplying the correct form of be. For example, Tom writes the article should turn into the passive as something like, the article is written by Tom. What would you now do with the following sentence? Tom wrote the article.
The article was written by Tom.
Yes, this is it. Thank you. Number 3, Tom is writing the article. Maybe with this example, things would become easier and more, with some more simplicity. Yes.
Tom is being written.
You
The
put
article
be.
is being written.
Yes, you put be in the same verb form as the main verb in active. Yes, this is it. Thank you. Number 4, Tom was writing the article. The article?
The article was being written by.
Yes, this is it. The article was being written by Tom. Number 5, Tom has written the article. Yes?
The article has been written by Tom.
Yes, this is it. Thank you. Tom had written the article. In passive, it becomes the article.
The article had been written by Tom.
Yes, this is it. Yes, the article had been written by Tom. In number 7, Tom will write the article. It would become?
The article will be written by Tom.
Yes, this is it. And number 8, Tom would write the article.
The article would be written by Tom.
Yes, this is it. Thank you. Number 9, Tom is going to write the article.
Is going to be writing.
Yes, this is it exactly. The article is going to be written by Tom. Number 10, Tom will have written the article.
The article will have been written by Tom.
Yes, exactly. Will have been written by Tom. 11, Tom will have to write the article.
The article will have to be written by Tom.
Yes, exactly. The article will have to be written by Tom. In number 12, Tom used to write the article.
Will have to be.
Yes, the article will have to be written by Tom. Tom used to write the article.
The article used to be written by Tom.
Yes, exactly. Number 13, Tom should have written the article.
The article should have been.
Yes, exactly. The article should have been written by Tom. 14, Tom is supposed to write the article.
The article is supposed to be written by Tom.
Yes, is supposed to be written by Tom. 15, Tom would have been writing the article. It would get something like...
Would have been writing.
Yes, exactly. The article would have been written by Tom. And finally, Tom is more likely to have written the article.
The article is more likely to have been written by Tom.
Yes, exactly. Thank you. Well, with the following examples or with the following exercise, things are going to change a bit. Because the sentences in use are not going to be, transformed horizontally. We are going to write them vertically. The point is that we are going to change the active to the passive by focusing in the first place on the major part and most important part in every sentence. And I mean, regarding the passive. We're not given any structure again to follow, but we must find about it. This is what we need to do over here. هنا بالنسبة لنا في هذه الفراز ما تعطتناش لا ستركتور اللي غنتبعو من بعد ولكن احنا خصنا نكتشفوه. This is exactly the point. Which word And let's get back again to the previous examples. Which words do we have to start with in all these? We have started with the article. What did it used to have as a function in the sentence of the active? La phrase ديال passif بديناها ب the article. اشنو كان لا فونكسيون ديالها؟ شنو الموقع ديالها في لا phrase ديال active؟
The last of the statement.
Yes, but is every last word always the one to start with in passive؟ واش دايما آخر كلمة في لا phrase ديال active واش المفروض أنه دايما نبداو بها؟ أوكي؟ دونك هنا راه تنبازيو على واحد المسألة اللي ضرورية. Tom writes the article. اشنو هي الكلمة اللي مرتبطة بهذا article على حسب لو سونس ديال لا phrase؟ Which word is the word article best associated with and connected to? It is connected to the verb. Tom writes what? In answer to the question what, we have the article as a complement. It is an object. It is an object. It can be the last word just as it can be, located something before the last word. Alors, علاقة ديال هذه الكلمة هذه متواجدة مع واحد الكلمة أخرى. Alors عندها علاقة مع لو فيرب. هي اللي كتكمل لو سونس ديال لو فيرب. راها كومبليمون وبالضبط من النوع ديال لي كومبليمون دوبجي اللي كنعتبروا حنايا مفعول به. اوكي. Tom writes what? Tom writes the article. Alors يمكن هنا في هذا الاكزامبل جاتنا هي اخر كلمه ولاني راه ما نضمنوش ان دائما تكون اخر كلمه هي اللي غنبداو بها وانما الكلمه اللي خصنا نبداو بها غتكون هي الكومبليمون دوبجي. Well, I'm going to get a bit and step a bit away from that, if you wouldn't mind. I'm sorry for that delay. It is just taking more time than deserved, not necessary. I'm sorry for the delay. I'm going to focus exactly on one given thing. Okay, it is causing us again to make or waste time for nothing. Okay, here we go. Need to explain in this regard is that not always the last word that should be the opening of a passive. What matters most in all these examples is to find more about the word which is quite central in all that, just as we have come again to find out it's the verb which is of some central importance. It is the one which is going to tell us much about the word that is connected to it in terms of object and also as a subject. اهم حاجه اللي غادي نوليو نركزوا عليها دابا ولا بغينا نعرفوا كيفاش نتعاملوا مع لا فيرب باسيف هو لو فيرب. لو فيرب كيرتبط معاه الكومبليمون دوبجي بواحد الشكل مباشر كما كيرتبط به لو سوجي بشكل مباشر. حنا المفروض نحددوا من خلال لو فيرب شكون هو الكومبليمون دوبجي بالضبط في كل مره. اوكي صافي دير. الا كنت عارف شكون هو الكومبليمون دوبجي ديال هاد لا فراز رانا عارف شكون اللي غادي يكون منه لو سوجي ديال لا فيرب باسيف. Again, Bill will invite Anne to the party. نفس المسألة. إلا عرفت بأن هذا هو الفيرب أوتوماتيكمون غنعرف منه شكون هو السوجي وشكون هو لوبجي. أوكي؟ عندي 4 الكلمات. شكون فيهم اللي غيكون كومبليمون دوبجي؟ على أي أساس غنعرف شكون فيهم الكومبليمون دوبجي؟ غادي نشوف شكون فيهم اللي مرتبط بالسوجي en tant qu'objet. Bill will invite Anne to the party. Bill will invite who to the party?
Anne.
Anne. دونك ما صدقتش اخر كلمه هي الكومبليمون دوبجي ولا هي اللي غنبداو بها. هذه هي اللي صدقات عندنا كومبليمون دوبجي وهي اللي غنبداو بها. ان الور ماشي بالضروره اخر كلمه دائما هي اللي غادي نبداو بها لا باسيف، وهذا هو السبب علاش اختارينا انه نبداو بالفيرب. Can you show me the verbs in other sentences? Shakespeare wrote that play. Wrote is the verb. What is the verb in sentence number 2?
Invite.
Will invite.
Yes.
He will invite who? He will invite Anne. This is given to be the object. Can you show me now the objects in or the verbs in each of the sentences? Alex is preparing that report. Alex is well, can you show me the verb in this sentence again?
Is preparing.
Alex is preparing what?
The report.
That report.
This is exactly the point. We are going to insert or deduce from the verb which of the other words is going to be the object. Waitresses and waiters serve customers. What seems to be the verb over here? Serve.
Serve.
Yes, this is exactly it. And the object is automatically customers. They serve who? They serve customers. The teacher is going to explain the lesson. The verb. Yes? Is going to explain. And the object is automatically
the lesson.
The lesson. We are going to start the passive using the lesson first. Shirley has suggested a new idea. Verb.
Has suggested.
Yes. And the object is
A new
idea. We start again the passive using a new idea. Again in sentence number 7, 2 horses were pulling the farmer's wagon. Verb. Yes? We're pulling. And the object is we're pulling what?
The farmer's
wagon.
Farmer's wagon.
Yes. Number 8. Cathy had returned the book to the library. Verb.
Journey.
Yes. Cathy had returned what?
The book.
The
library.
book. This is exactly it and not necessarily the last word. الور فهمنا بان الكومبليمون دوبجي هو اللي تيهمنا وراه ماشي بالضروره يكون هو اخر كلمه. انا غنقول لكم السبب علاش اختارينا لي فراز اللي فاتوا يكونوا فيهم العدد اللي فيهم ديال الكلمات، فيهم سوجي نورمالمون وفيهم فيرب وفيهم كومبليمون دوبجي. الا جينا نشوفوا لو سوجي اي لو فيرب خصهم ضروري يكونوا في اي فراز كيف ما بغات تكون اكتيف ولا باسيف، خصهم يكونوا هادو بجوج ضروري منهم سوجي فيرب. لو كومبليمون دوبجي يقدر يكون في دي فراز يقدر ما يكونش، يقدروا يكونوا دي زيليمون اخرين وحدين ديال لو طون ولا ديال لادفيرب سيركونستانسيال دو ليو ولا ديال لا مانيير، ولكن راه يقدر ما يكونش كومبليمون دوبجي ماشي شرط. احنا قللنا داك العدد اعتبرنا ان الكومبليمون دوبجي ضروري منه الا بغينا نصاوبوا لا فوا باسيف، واكتشفنا كون ما كانش الكومبليمون دوبجي ما كناش نعرفوا نصاوبوا لا فوا باسيف، ما غيكونش اصلا، ماشي ما غنعرفوش ما غيكونش اصلا. باش يكون عندنا لا فوا باسيف خص لا فراز ديال اكتيف اصلا يكون فيها كومبليمون دوبجي، وحنا غير اكتشفنا شكون منهم اللي كان هو الكومبليمون دوبجي واكتشفنا البدايه. اوكي دونك لا فراز كيفاش غتبدا؟ Shakespeare wrote that play. We start using that play. What tense is the verb wrote? It is
the past.
Now the tense should be granted to the auxiliary be. This same verb should be cut into 2 parts. The first one is the tense. It should be granted to the auxiliary to be. And then the same very verb only then would become past participle. Okay, can you do it now? Shakespeare wrote that play becomes that play.
that play
is
is
It is
by
writing
written, but
Was
are you
right.
going to write is or was?
Was.
Yes, this is it.
was
That
yes.
play was
Was
written
right.
by Tom.
Right.
This is exactly the point.
present simple.
As if we have, split the verb and the tense. وكأنه فصلنا ما بين le verbe و le temps. Le temps خدا l'auxiliaire be اللي غنزيدو و le verbe غيولي في البارتيسيب passé. That play was written by Tom, by Shakespeare. Again, if we write the statement as such, Bill will invite Anne to the party. Starting with Anne, what would become of the sentence? And here you come to distinguish again why we have to highlight the verb in the first place and we should extract it. ودابا غادي تكتشفوا علاش بالضبط بدينا بالفيرب، راه ماشي غير باش نكتشفوا لوبجي، هذه مسألة مفروغ منها، عاونتنا على اننا نحددوا شكون الكومبليمون دوبجي، دونك لا مجال لوقوع اخطاء في هذه الحالة هذه، ولكن عاونتنا نعرفوا واحد المسألة لا فورم ديال تو بي كيفاش خصها تكون. دونك إلا كان تو بي غنصرفها بشي شكل معين راه ما عندناش من غير هذا. صافي دير ان.
Yes.
Yes.
Anne will be invited
Yes.
by
will
Anne
be
will be
invited
invited by Bill to the party. To the party ما عندهاش دخل في لا كومبينيزون ديال لا فو باسيف. اللي عندهم دخل هما هاد الثلاثة. وهما اللي تبدل الترتيب ديالهم. لوبجي ديال اكتيف غيولي سوجي ديال باسيف. لو فيرب باقي حاضر هنايا. لا فورم ديالو خديناه هي الاولى هذا باش لو فيرب رجع للبارتيسيب باسي. بيو تيولي اجون، هذه مساله مفروغ منها. عاد الادفيرب circumstantial او adverb of place. And this is exactly the point. It is not included. Alex is preparing that report. Can you give me your sentence now? Passive.
that report is being prepared
Yes?
by Alex.
Yes, exactly. That report is being prepared by Alex. And this is one of the reasons why we should start focusing on the verb in the first place. Waitresses and waiters serve customers. You start using customers, and the verb now is present. So?
It's served.
Customers
Yes? Customers are served. It is a regular verb. Yes? By?
Customers are served.
Waitress and waiters.
Yes. By waitresses and waiters. Yes, thank you. Number 5, the teacher is going to explain the lesson.
The lesson is going
To be
Yes, exactly. The lesson is going to be explained by the teacher.
By the teacher.
Yes, exactly. Number 6, Shirley has suggested a new idea.
Has been suggested.
Yes, yes. Can you make a complete sentence? A new idea?
A new idea has been suggested by Shirley.
Exactly. This is it. Thank you for both of you. Number 7, 2 horses were pulling the farmer's wagon. Well, don't forget that in the first place of the active, subject was plural. Now we have a singular subject. Are you going to still write was or were? Yes?
Was.
We have
The
singular.
farmer's wagon
Yes?
are being played
What tense
by
is
two.
that? What tense is the verb over here? It is
Past continuous.
past continuous. Be
Yes.
once put as an auxiliary in past continuous. You must take into account that the subject now is singular. Are you going to use?
Was.
Yes, this is exactly the point. Can you say it now again, please?
The farmer's wagon was being
Yes,
playing
exactly.
by
Was
two
being
horses.
pulled by 2 horses. Well, I want to ask you a question now before moving any further. Let's do the last example before stopping for a while, because we need again to discuss other points. Which of these words are you going to start with? Is it the book or to the library?
The book.
The book.
Yes. Can you make your sentence now?
The book had been returned by Cathy.
Yes, exactly. The book had been returned by Cathy to the library, or had been returned to the library by Cathy. What matters most is that we now have sense at hand that can lead the same sense as before. Now, in comparison between either forms, for example, if you compare saying an idea in active and then in passive, you may deduce that one style is going to be a bit stylish, more stylish than the other. One way is going to be more effective than the other. ملي غتكونوا قلتوا مثلا واحد الفكرة بلا فوا اكتيف ورجعتوا تاني صوبتوها بلا فوا باسيف، غيبان لك بان الاسلوب غيكون افضل بواحد الشكل من هادو بجوج. شكون فيهم في نظركم اللي يبان لكم احسن؟ غديروا مقارنه كل والراي ديالو في واحد الفكره كيفاش غيمكن تكون افضل. انك تقول مثلا in number 7 two horses were pulling the farmer's wagon, or the farmer's wagon was being pulled by two horses. Again, Shirley has suggested a new idea, or a new idea has been suggested by Shirley. Cathy had returned the book to the library, or the book had been returned by Cathy to the library. هنا غيبان لنا بان الاسلوب شويه غيكون افضل، ونقارنوا بالاخص هذه. هنا غادي يبان بها الاكزامبل غيبان افضل. ان اسلوب اللي يبان لكم احسن ان نخليه اكتيف ولا مع الباسيف غيعطي واحد طابع اخر غيبان شويه الاسلوب متقون اكثر. شوفوا نتوما شكون اللي يبان لكم اكثر اتقان. وهنا راه ما تنقللوا من القيمه ديال حتى شي صيغه معينه.
باسيف.
غتلقاو بان الباسيف غيعطيك بحال كاين اتقان شويه اكثر من الاكتيف، ولو ما تتقللش من القيمه ديال الاكتيف. هذا هي باش نشيروا لهاد النقطه. ما تعنيش بان الاكتيف راه خايب، هذا ما تعنيش بحال هكا. غير باش نقولوا الى اي درجه عندنا اسلوب نعرفوا نكتبوا به ونعرفوا نعطيو مستوى معين للطريقه اللي كتبنا بها. الى اي درجه غيبان بانه كاين مجهود وكاين فاعليه في الكتابه. راه ممكن داك المجهود نوصلوا ليه نوظفوا واحد الشكل عادي تقليدي عارفينه، غير قلناه شويه بترتيب مختلف. اوكي الوغ لي فراز 9 و 10 مختلفين شويه على الاخرين بحاجه وحده. حاجه وحده كاينه في الافراز ولا في السطر سعود، والاخرى حاجه اخرى خلات هاد الفراز اللي في نيميرو 10 تختلف على الاخرين كاملين من 1 حتى 8. What makes a difference in line 9, to the other statements from 1 to 8?
It is negative, I think.
Yes. And again, this makes no great difference again in making that happen. Again, you can get two sentences in the same line. And let's see if this is exactly the object. I didn't write that note. I didn't write what. You can find that the word that note is the object. I didn't write what. We should start using that note as a subject for passive. Jim wrote it. Jim wrote what? Wrote it. It is supposed to be subject for the passive of the second statement. The same line. What would you say in this regard if you have to transform that into a given form? I didn't write that note. Starting with that note, what tense is there in the verb at hand? باش من طوم صرف هذا الفيرب.
Didn't write.
What tense is the auxiliary did?
Past negative.
Yes, it's past simple and it is negative. Which should get that verb tense in the passive? It is be which should take that same tense. Be in past simple. That note, we would say that note. Yes?
Was not right. Was not written.
And with the negative, was is an auxiliary. And what not needs, this word not needs only an auxiliary, which we now have in passive. Was not, wasn't. That note wasn't. Wasn't what? And the verb right in past participle is going to be something like?
Written.
Yes. That note wasn't written. Wasn't written by who?
By me.
Yes, exactly. That note wasn't written by me. That wasn't too tough. That verb which used to be past is now still being past, but the tense is granted to the auxiliary be. That negative adverbial is now given to the auxiliary, which is now inserted and is part of the passive. That note wasn't. And the main verb is, of course, going to get past participle. That note wasn't written by me. Me is now object to the a preposition by. It is the one used to refer to the agent. Okay. That note wasn't written by me. It. Can you
It was
write
written by Jim.
Yes, first.
by G.
Can you compare now the two forms? Which one sounds more effective? ممكن تقارنوا دابا الأسلوب الأول والثاني ديال لا فوا أكتيف ولا فوا باسيف، شكون اللي تيبان أكثر فاعلية؟ That note wasn't written by me, it was written by Jim. Or, I didn't write that note, Jim wrote it. Which one sounds more effective? The one that sounds more effective is, as far as I'm concerned, and personally, I find that it's the passive, which can sometimes give some sort of effectiveness. Number 10, is Mr. Brown painting your house? Can you show me the verb now?
Painting.
Is it only painting? Is it just like preparing? Or is there anything missing?
Is painting.
Yes, exactly.
Present,
We need an
painting.
auxiliary. Well, does that mean that is the subject? Because it is located in the beginning. واش هذا تعني انه is ولات هي السوجي غير حيت جات هي الاولى؟
لا.
فوالا دونك ما تعطيهاش ديك الاحقيه. اذا واخا نبلاصيوها قبل من الاولى كاع ما غاديش يكون عندها الاحقيه تولي سوجي الا لا كانت لا فراز تتسمح لها بهذا الشيء. لا فراز تتسمح للسوجي يكون سوجي حيت هو اللي على من داويه. شكون هو هذا اللي is painting your house؟
Mr. Brown.
اوكي دونك هذا هو السوجي حيت هو على من داويه لا فراز. Mr. Brown is painting what؟ دونك هذا هو السوجي. هادو دي زيليمون ديال الفيرب خصهم يكونوا الفيرب والاوكسيليير ديالو. Mr. Brown is painting what؟ دونك هنا غادي نكتشفوا شكون هو الكومبليمون دوبجي.
Your house.
اوكي. Here is the object. كيفاش درنا توصلنا للوبجي؟ درنا واحد المعادله بسيطه سهله ما كاينش مسهل منها. بحال اعتبرنا وكانه ما كاينش لانفيرسيون دو سوجي. صافي. لغينا لانفيرسيون دو سوجي مؤقتا بحال كيما ديك المعادله اللي كديروا ناقص واحد زائد واحد ياك. بحال معادله تديروها في واحد كمنفذ ريزونمون تيستدعي انكم ترجعوا الامور لواحد. حنايا هنايا بحال درنا ناقص واحد من بعد نرجعوا ثاني زائد واحد. صافي دير اعتبرنا بحال لانفيرسيون سوجي ما كاينش. مستر براون از بينتين يور هاوس غير اعتبرنا ما عاودناش كتبنا لا فراز باش نعرف باش غنبدا ثاني في الاول. باش غنبدا نبدا بيور هاوس. يور هاوس اوكي. لو فيرب هنا اش من طون عنده؟ يور درنا از بينتين اش من طون هذا؟ راه هو لو طون اللي غيولي عند بي. كيفاش غيولي؟
Is your house being painted by Mr.
Your
Brown?
house is being painted by Mr. Brown. Donc, your house is being painted by Mr. Brown. هذاك لوكسيليير اللي باقي واخد الموقع ديالو حدا لو فيرب فوالا نديرو به نرجعو ثاني لانفيرسيون سوجي بحال غادي نعاودو نرجعو ديك الحاجه اللي نقصناها في واحد الوقت. دابا نرجعوها كيف ما كانت باش تعطينا هاد لا فورمول باش تولي لا فراز كما قلتي لي دابا. Is your house being painted by Mr. Brown? And this is exactly the point. Well, a final exercise is going to be about something that you must be careful about, is to change the active to the passive, but please mind this necessary part, if possible. What does that mean? Does it mean that all sentences can become passive? ملي لقينا واحد الاكزرسيس بحال هكذا داير change the active to the passive if possible. اش تنفهموا؟ واش انه لي فراز كاملين غادي يوليو في الباسيف؟ واش كاملين عندهم الامكانيه انه يوليو في الباسيف؟ well, فقط اللي عندهم الامكانيه. اشنو هو الشرط انه كاينه امكانيه ولا ما كايناش؟ انه غنلقاو واش عنده كومبليمون دوبجي ولا ما عندوش. دونك مناش غنعرفوا راه كاين الكومبليمون دوبجي ولا ما كاينش من لو فيرب. دونك شاك فيرب غنشوفوه واش عرفناه حددناه شكون هو في هاد المجموعه كامله، وبالتالي واش عنده كومبليمون ولا لا. A strange thing happened yesterday. Can you tell me which word is the verb?
happened.
happened.
Does the verb happen have an object? مفعول به. A strange thing happened. Is yesterday an object?
No.
Okay, which means no change. Because the verb happen is an intransitive verb. It does not need or does not have the possibility to get an object. كاينين دي فيرب اللي هما انترانزيتيف ما عندهمش امكانيه ديال الكومبليمون دوبجي كاع بالمره، وبالتالي ما عندناش حدود ديال الباسيف. Very simple, no change. Jackie scored the winning goal. Can you now tell me which word is the verb?
Scored.
Jackie scored what?
The winning goal.
Okay.
It's
Do we have an object now? If we have one,
Yes.
we can
Yes.
make a passive, which means
was
the
scored
winning goal.
was scored by Jackie.
Yes, very simply. The winning goal was scored by Jackie. Again in line number 3, my cat died. Can you tell me which word is the verb?
Died.
Died.
Have an object. Of course, there is none.
No change.
No
No.
changes. We do the same with the other words. I agreed with Dr. Akida's theory. A verb.
Agreed.
Agreed.
Agreed. I agreed with who? Which means we have an
Dr.
object.
Akrid's
Okay,
theory.
this is a bit different. This sentence is a bit strange to you, but we are going to mitigate all the concerns regarding this sentence and others, okay? Which word are you supposed to be starting with? You start with Dr. Aikida's theory. What about it? Agreed is past. Yes?
No.
I was agreed.
Are you going to say I? I is an active subject.
With me.
Dr. Aikida's theory is an object over here which can become a passive subject. Dr. Aikida's theory. What with the theory in general?
Was agreed with me.
Yes, with me or by me. We can write that just as we can omit it. It's not necessary to write each time the agent. Sometimes we can do without the agent. But check this out. Dr. Akida's theory was agreed with by me. It is an agent by way of by, which can be omitted. Dr. Akida's theory was agreed with. Very simply, sometimes we can find a passive without any necessity to write the agent. بعض المرات كنلقاو لافوا باسيف بدون ما يكون بالضرورة لاجون مذكور. اوكي؟ The agent هو الاليمون اللي ممكن تخلاو عليه بعض المرات الا ما كانش ضروري من الحضور ديالو في لافراز. امتى تيكون ماشي ضروري الحضور ديالو في لافراز؟ الا كان ما معروفش. كان عندنا مثلا الاكسبرسيون someone agreed with Dr. Akida's theory. Dr. Akida's theory was agreed with. Someone ولا everyone agreed with Dr. Akida's theory. Dr. Akida's theory was agreed with. كان متفقا معها. صافي يدير على هذيك النظريه. اوكي؟ الور دي فوا تلقاو بان لاجون ما تتذكرش حيت ببساطه شديده ماشي ضروري المعنى ديال الجمله. هذا هو السبب. دونك امتى تيكون لاجون ماشي ضروري؟ الا كان مجهول، وهذا هو السبب علاش تنبنيو الفكره الصيغه ديال المبني للمجهول لا فا باسيف دي باسيف فويس، او الا كان ماشي مهم بزاف بسبب انه ما نحتاجوش نذكروه حيت ولات الفكره مفهومه به ولا بلا به. مثلا my computer was fixed. مثلا انا قلت لك الاورديناتور راه تصاوب، واش المفروض نعرف شكون اللي غيكون صاوبو؟ الهويه ديالو واش ضروري كتفيدنا؟
No.
ونتصاوب شكون النوع ديال الناس اللي تيصاوب لي زورديناتور؟ محتاجين نذكروا شكون؟
No.
معروفين بلا ما نذكروهم. صافي دير لاجون ما محتاجينش نذكروه الا كنا مستغنيين عليه. صافي دير غير ضروري المعنى ديال الجمله. when it is not necessary for the meaning of the sentence. لاجون ما غنذكروش عاوتاني في واحد الحاله اخرى كما قلنا الا ما كانش معروف اصلا ولا الا ما كانش ضروري منه الفكره تفهم بلا به كما به بحال بحال او لا الا كان الحدث اهم من اللي قام بهذاك الحدث. بار اكزومبل الاورديناتور تصاوب واش مهم عندنا شكون اللي دارو؟
لا.
مثلا قلنا بانه صافي راه واحد الطريق تفتحات كانت مسدوده بسبب شي عواصف ولا شي مشاكل في الطريق ودابا راه تفتحات. واش المفروض نبقاو نقلبوا نعرفوا شكون اللي دار هذا ليفيرمون؟ تيهمنا الحدث ليفيرمون اكثر من اللي دار الحدث. الور في ديك الحاله لاجون ماشي ضروري كاع. الور دي فوا ما تلقاوش ديك باي ونقولوا شكون. اذا هذه تقدر تبقى. نتوما قبيله صراحه ركزتوا بزاف على هذه وغفلتوا ان كاين واحد البريبوزيسيون ولو هذا خطا كان خاصو يوقع باش نكتشفوا معاه شي حوايج باش الانسان ثاني يولي ياخذ فكره. كاين التفاصيل اللي ما يمكنش نقولوها من البدايه ضروري تجي واحد ليكزامبل يحط قدامنا دوك التفاصيل ونعرفوا نتعاملوا معاهم وكيكون اسهل ان نفهموا كيفاش نديروا معاهم من بعد. I agreed with Dr. Aikida's theory. Dr. Aikida's theory was agreed with. البريبوزيسيون ما غنجيبهاش مع هذا اللي كان اوبجي ما غيجرش معاه حتى لا بريبوزيسيون. لا بريبوزيسيون تبقى في بلاصتها من بعد الفيرب. الور ممكن تصادفوا حالات اللي بقات فيهم لا بريبوزيسيون من بعد لو فيرب وما جبناهاش مع السوجي. اوكي. I talked about this topic. This topic was talked about. Okay. I talked about this topic. This topic was talked about. Okay. I was interested in these things. These things were interested in. This is exactly the point. Number 5. Dr. Aikida developed that theory. You would say, yes?
That theory was developed by Dr. Aikida.
Yes, this is it. Thank you. Timmy dropped the cup.
The cup was dropped by Timmy.
Yes, exactly. The cup fell to the floor. Be careful. By the way, can every sentence necessarily change into passive? واش بشرط كل جملة خصها تحول لافوا باسيف؟
No change.
No change, because it does not have an object. The cup is subject, fell, verb, to the floor is an adverb of place. Where did it fall? It fell to the floor. It is an adverbial. The assistant manager interviewed me. Yes?
I was interviewed.
Yes, I was interviewed by the assistant manager. Number 9, it rained hard yesterday.
No change.
No change because we have none of the parts needed for a passive. None of the words hard nor yesterday can be called object. حتى واحد من هاد جوج كلمات ما يمكن نعطيو الصفة ديال object حيت هذا adverb of manner هذا adverb of time. حتى واحد منهم ما يمكن يتعتبر object. Okay. A hurricane destroyed a small fishing village. Yes?
The small fishing village was destroyed.
Yes, by a hurricane.
By hurricane.
Dinosaurs existed millions of years ago.
No change.
Yes, this is it. No change at all. Okay. That has been again a way of knowing more about how to deal with
Yeah.
all these aspects. I'm afraid I'm going again to find more about certain characteristics, and namely about some parts that we need to study regarding this first part. We do have to deal with some passive, or I'm afraid this is not going to be the one. Okay, time again to look at these things, in the light of which we are supposed to find more about how to make. Let's do that. Well, I'm afraid this is going to take some time. Can you have a look at the heading, at the title? Ways of working. The word ways is supposed to be driving us again straight to some sense. Ways, that means automatically manners, styles, some styles of working. Okay? And work can happen in different ways, in different manners, in different styles. We are supposed to be studying these ways depending on the elements at hand, and trying to find out more about how to make these quite clearly set. We have to deal with these in terms of, in the light of whether or not these are going to be old ways or new ways of making this happen. Okay, let's have a look at these things, these paragraphs, and try to find out. I'm sorry, it's just slipping. Try to find out which of these is supposed to be forming some kind of he's causing us again to too much trouble. I'm going to focus on these parts only. Try to read these paragraphs and try to find which talks about some old way of working and which talks about some new way of working, new method. Is the script quite clear? Is the passage quite clear to you? The first paragraph is of some experience, talks about some experience quite different than the ones we have at hand. Again, if you ever have to opt for any other form, in the following paragraph you will find that it is about something different. The second paragraph is about something quite different in use, and it is going to be quite differently reflecting some different experience. You read these experiences and you try to find out which is about some old experience or old way of system of working, and which is about new. Same thing could be said about the following other paragraphs as well. Okay? Read these paragraphs, please, and try to find out which talks about any of the experiences. First paragraph in the first place. Okay. Can you tell me whether or not this job is of something new or something old? What do you think? Let's have a look at what we have at hand. Maybe we can check if the sound is on. It is still on. And I need over here again to read for you that entry, because it's supposed to be about something quite interestingly, referring to some jobs and the systems you may get. This is about something new, something old. And it's up to you to find out which part in each sentence or in which sentence tells something regarding its being new or old as a system. I read, I'm an office worker in an insurance company. It's a 9 to 5 job with regular working hours. The work isn't very interesting, but I like to be able to go home at a reasonable time. We all have to clock in and clock out every day. In this company, even the managers have to, which is unusual. Well, with a notice, with a focalization on the word 9 to 5 job with regular working hours, would that job be, pursuing a new system or an old system? What do you think? With these, criterion at hand, it would be an old system. It would necessarily be an old system. It's a 9 to 5 job with regular. It never changes. It never changes at all. It's a 9 to 5 job with regular working hours. What we have again in first sentence is a kind of, let's say, some kind of compound nouns, and I'm trying to see if I can get a pen or pencil or something of this like. I'm sorry. Well, the word office worker is a compound noun which comprises of 2 words each, and each is supposed to be just referring to one specific concern. I'm an office worker. We would say I'm a worker, which means that the second word is of some central importance. And the first word may serve just like an adjective to it. It is only like an adjective. And it is not an adjective indeed, like an adjective. Okay? I'm an office worker. I'm a worker indeed, but one who works in an office. Okay? I'm an office worker. As a compound noun, it is made of 2 nouns indeed. But the one of a central importance is the last. And the one that comes before it may be its own adjective. It may just serve and function like an adjective, but not necessarily being an adjective indeed. I'm an office worker in an insurance company. You can find again that there is a combination over here between 2 nouns that form a compound noun, ism murakkab, of 2 nouns, the last of which is of some central importance, while the first one may serve as an adjective of it. Just to say something about the kind of companies in question. It is one which works in the concern of insurance. I'm an office worker in an insurance company. This is how compound nouns work, and most compound nouns are found in the language for science, like air conditioning, traffic light, personal computer or something like that, book note computer, or notebook, I should say, notebook computer, keyboard. All these are terms that can be found in the science of informatics, and these are nouns for which are compound. Okay, it's a 9 to 5 job with regular working hours. Still again, we have to understand these in the light of one given thing. My question to you, how do you find compound nouns? Are they hard or easy to understand? بالنسبة للنون كومبوزي واش سهلين ولا صعب في الفهم؟ غتلقاو بانه الا كنتو فاهمين الكلمات بجوج المعنى راه غيجتمع من المعنى ديالهم بجوج. For simply, I'm an office worker in an insurance company. It's a 9 to 5 job with regular working hours, ساعات عمل. And each time you change the first word, the meaning of the whole is going to be affected. The work isn't very interesting, but I like to be able to go home at a reasonable time. Okay, I'm going to let you read these entries, namely this first part, and you are supposed to be doing the exercise that matches with that. I will be sending you an exercise that deals with this entry for vocabulary. There is a second part for that with much more vocabulary like satisfying, stimulating. These can be used in combinations with the word work or job. You can describe work or job using these, for example, satisfying job or satisfying work, stimulating job or stimulating work, fascinating, exciting. Either for job or work, you describe things for being positive, because these convey some positive sense. Again, dull, boring, uninteresting. It's the other way around. Not interesting. You are describing it negatively. Regarding repetitive, you are talking about some part of the quality of the work. Something repetitive. You do things again and again. It's repetitive. For tiring, this is descriptive. Something can be tiring, just as it can be tough or hard. These belong to the same sense. It makes one tired. It needs more effort. For see, you can find a number of things. My work involves, in sentences like these, and next to the verb involve, you can get a complement, either in form of noun or in form of gerund. It involves human contact. This is a noun. Long hours, again a noun, hours. Teamwork, a compound noun, but it is a noun anyway. Or you need a complement like a form of gerund. My work involves solving what? Solving problems, traveling where or how, traveling a lot, and dealing with customers. You can find that with these at hand, you can come again to find more about how to deal with the rest. Just of note, I need to show you now the compounds that are needed. I'm afraid this is not going to be the one, but I will be sending you a copy of that. Are you still there?
Yes.
Okay. Well, regarding this first part, I'm still expecting you again to be reading it, and once you find or have encountered any of the troubles, that you ask me it, and the exercise will come next. Back again to the first exercise, or the first entry, or first paragraph. Here, just one person is saying their experience. It is an experience of a person. It is going to be different from the experience of another person in paragraph 2, different from someone else's experience in paragraph 3. First experience is about someone's experience only. Okay, and let's take it as such. I'm an office worker in an insurance company. It's 9 to 5 job with regular working hours. The work isn't very interesting, but I like to be able to go home at a reasonable time. My question is, if someone is saying something like that, does that mean that he is not satisfied with his work? Does that mean that this person is not necessarily satisfied with his work? What do you think?
Yes.
When we have isn't as a negative aspect, does that mean that the work isn't interesting at all? Or just not very interesting? and mind the sentences, namely this one, and try to find out the use of very. Has it made any difference? If we have a statement in which you include only this, the work isn't interesting, is it the same as when you say the work isn't very interesting? ملي غتسمع واحد الشخص قال بحال هذه الفكرة، قال مثلا the work isn't interesting، واش بحال إلا قال لنا the work isn't very interesting؟
No, it's not the
They
same.
are different.
Not exactly the same. There is some difference. Now, can you see the text clearly? I'm going to show you it. With the word very, things have become a bit different. Okay? With the word very, things have become a bit different. With the word very, you come again to find out that what is not optimal is that the degree of being interesting is not that optimal. The work isn't very interesting, which means that negativity goes towards this act of being very, and that's just the point. While the use of very in the sentence is now noticeable, it has made us again just willing to think more about or of how negative is that person towards his work and the way he may perceive his work. هنايا دابا غير بغينا نشوف واحد المسألة إلى أي درجة هذا الشخص تنظر الخدمة ديالو بواحد النظرة معينة، واش نظرة إيجابية ولا سلبية. بدينا البداية، شفنا بأنه كاينة the work isn't very interesting. ألور المقصود عندنا هنايا هو نعرفوا واش عنده موقف سلبي من هذه الوظيفة اللي فاش خدام هو. غنلقاو بأنه السلبية كاينة، ولكن راه ماشي على الوظيفة ككل، على كونها ما وصلش لهذاك المستوى من الانتري. اشنو تنقصدو ب interesting؟ Let's have a look at the kind of works. This is an office worker. هذا عامل مكتبي، صافي دير شخص تيخدم في البيرو. Okay? And he works in this sector. In an insurance, in a company for insurance. Do you think there is anything again that may make work of any interest؟ هنا بالنسبة لنا واش واحد تخدم خدمة بحال هذه، واش كاين فيها شي تغيير، كاين شي تجديد، كاين شي تنوع؟ غتلقى بأن الوظيفة اللي خدام فيها ما تنوعش فيها بزاف، دونك ماشي انتريسونت بزاف بهذا المعنى انه ما كاينش فيها جديد، كاين روتين. اوكي؟ the same work over and over done over the working week or working days, and this is just the point. That is nothing interesting in it because of not being just in absolute change each time. That's why he sees it that not very interesting, but not necessarily being rejected by that person. And if it be just the only negativity that we have at hand, let's have a look at what would come next. إلا كان هذه هي السلبية الوحيدة اللي دوينا عليها، نشوفوا شنو اللي منتظر من بعد. بعد اون فوا تكون عندنا بعد بحال هكذا بعد مي صافي دير كاينه اون اوبوزيسيون، الور غادي نتوقعوا انه غيكون عندنا تعارض ما بين هذاك الشيء اللي سبق وداك الشيء اللي باقي غيجي من بعد. اوكي؟ ونشوفوا شنو باقي غادي ننتظروا من بعد. I like to be able to go home at a reasonable time. If we take the verb like, would you expect the person to be talking about something positive or something negative?
Positive.
Okay, I like that, which means I'm positive towards this end. I like to be able. Again, another quality which is quite positive. Every worker needs to be able to do what they want to do. And again, regarding this word home, it's necessary to distinguish the use of the word home in this context. من الأفيد أن نعرفوا الأهمية ديال هذه الكلمة. علاش تذكرات؟ هي ما غاديش تلاحظ من اللحظة الأولى، غتبان لنا هذيك جملة عادية، كلمة عادية، فاهمين المعنى ديالها، وراه كاينة تما وصافي، وراه تدوي على واحد الحالة كلشي تيعيشها. To be home. اوكي؟ ولكن هنايا اللي غيكون في واحد الوسط وظيفي ولا مهني غيعرف شنو تتعني home. بانه هي المتنفس من الضغط ديال الشغل. فهاد المساله هذه راه ما غاديش تلاحظ بالنسبه لواحد مازال ما خداش ديك التجربه، مازال تينظر لها من بعيد. هذه غادي يكون ادرى بها واحد اللي داز من تجربه، جرب، عرف الضغط ديال الخدمه، اوكي، وعرف بالضبط اشنو هي نوع الضغوطات، واكتشف اشنو هو المنفذ من ديك الضغوطات. دونك راه غادي يكون واحد ان بو دو ستريس. الخدمه كامله هكا دايره، مادام انت خدام راك مركز، راك تتحاول تتقن، دونك راك مطالب بنتائج. هذه مساله طبيعيه، وبالتالي مع الوقت يولي الانسان تيحس بواحد شويه ديال الستريس. وللاشاره، ستريس ما ناخذوش دائما على اساس انه مساله سلبيه، ما ناخذوش دائما على اساس انه مساله سلبيه. راه واحد شويه ديال الستريس راه تيبقى ضروري منه، اوكي. مثلا الا كنت عارف راسك بان راه انت مطالب بنتائج ايجابيه، راه ماشي بحال الا كان حسيتي بحال ما كاين عندك حتى شي مطالبات، ما غير مطالب باي شيء، راه ما غتكونش تتفاعل بنفس الفاعليه وبنفس الجوده وبنفس الجديه. دونك راه بعض النوبات تيكون لازم باش تفرض على واحد الانسان ياخذ الامور بجديه، غير ياخذها، غير يستوعب بانه راه كاين الجديه، تضطر تخضعوا لواحد الشيء من ستريس باش يحس بانه فاش غتقول لي بان راه عندك الوقت من هنا لغدا، تيحس الانسان بشويه ديال الجديه. فاش غتقول ليه راه غتعتمد النتيجه على هذا الشيء اللي غدير، هذا راه شيء من ستريس. راه غادي يتعامل شخص بواحد الاسلوب معين بناء على حسب الدرجه ديال الضغط اللي خليتيه يلمس في واحد الموقف معين. الا حس بانه ما كاينش ضغط، صافي دير ما كاينش مطالبات، راه ممكن يستهن بالامور وما غاديش يتعامل معاها بواقعيه. الوغ الا قلتي لواحد حاول دير وصافي دير مجهود، يقدر ما يدير حتى مجهود. اما الا قلتي له راه خاصك تجيب لي الجواب ديالك، ولا تجيب لي هاد لو دوفوار مخرج النهار الفلاني، راه غيحس براسو بان راه مطالب. هاد شويه ديال ستريس مطلوب، ماشي تنقولوا مطلوب، غير الاستمرار ديال انه يكون استمراريه ديال ستريس ممكن تخلي الانسان يحس بضغوطات اللي غادي يخصو معها شويه واحد المنفذ، اوكي. هذا هو اللي تندويو عليه. في وقت من الاوقات كاين من الناس اللي سبقونا للتصنيع، راه هما سبقونا للمشاكل اللي ادت لهم حياه التمدن وحياه الصناعيه، اوكي. الور وبالتالي كانوا محتاجين لبعض الحلول. بانت واحد الشكل ديال الصعوبات اللي هو تيتمثل بشي حاجه نقدروا نسميوها work burnout، اوكي. نقدروا نسميوها هنايا work burnout، ماشي هذه اللي بغينا نكتبوا حاجه اخرى هنايا. ajouter un paragraphe، ajouter un signature. غادي ما ندير في السيناتور، كون باغي نكتب دابا شي حاجه هنايا. work burnout. work burnout نورمالمون هي كلمه بانت في واحد الوقيته بالاخص في لانجلتير، سورتو فاش بداو الناس تيحسوا بانه ما بقاوش تيتحملوا الخدمه اللي خدامين فيها. وكان السبب في هذا الشيء انه ركزوا مع الخدمه بزاف، اكثر من القياس، اكثر من اللازم، كانت المتطلبات كثيره، اوكي. هذه مساله ممكن الانسان يلقى نفسه فيها. الور اللي كانوا سبقوا لهذا النوع ديال الصعوبات اكتشفوا مع الوقت بانه كاين واحد الحل، هو انه تكتشف بعض الامكانيات انه لقاو طريق الحل من خلال واحد جلب التوازنات، اوكي. والتوازنات جات بواحد الحاجه اللي هي بسيطه، اللي هي work في مقابل life balance. اذا التوازنات ممكن نعاودوا نسترجعوها الى خلينا هاد جوج ديال العناصر واحد فيهم يكون متنفس ديال الاخر، اوكي. صافي دير اللي ترجع للحياه الاجتماعيه، الحياه اليوميه، العلاقات الاسريه والصداقات، غتكون عطيتي لنفسك متنفس من الضغط ديال الخدمه. وملي غتكون في الخدمه غتكون عطيتي لنفسك متنفس من الضغوطات الاجتماعيه واليوميه، وبالتالي بحال تتريسيكلي ولا دير واحد النوع ديال لا ريكرياسيون د الانرجي، تتكري الانرجي اللي بها تواجه الحياه اليوميه ملي تتكون في الخدمه، وتنفس، تدخل لاجواء اخرى تتعيشها، ما تتكونش مستحضر معك حتى مشاكل ديال الدار وديال اللي لقيتي في الظروف اليوميه، ما تستحضرهاش في وقت الخدمه، تتعيش الجو ديال الخدمه. ولكن هذيك المطالبات ديال الخدمه حتى هي تتحاول تخلص منها ملي تترجع للحياه اليوميه ديالك، ملي تكون مع الصحاب ومع العائله ومع تتعيش الاجواء بالجوده ديالها والوقت تايملي اند كواليتيفلي. اوكي، وراه هذا هو اللي خلى واحد النوع ديال التوازن يتم. الور اللي وصلوا لهذا النوع ديال المشاكل كانوا مطالبين هما الاولين يلقاو لها حلول، وهذاك الشيء هو اللي لقينا حنا هنايا. لقينا بانه هنا عندنا في هذه الفراز واحد المساله حاضره، انه كاين عندنا work وكاين life home. هادشي هو اللي بغينا نرجعوا ليه. علاش تذكرات هاد الاكسبرسيون بالضبط؟ راه ما جاتش من فراغ. اوكي، ملي قلنا the work isn't very interesting، راه ماشي حيت هو خايب، وانما ماشي متنوع بداك الدرجه اللي معروف عليها انه انسان غيكون في اي خدمه اخرى. وبالتالي الا كان غيبان لنا بان راها نيجاتيف، راه كاينين ايجابيات اخرين ما نغفلوهمش حتى هما. صافي دير ما نشوفوش غير الجانب اللي خاوي من الكاس، راه ممكن كاينين امتيازات اخرين ماشي بالضروره يكونوا ماديين ولا يقدروا يكونوا بحال كما هو متعارف عليهم، راه ممكن مع التراكم يبان بانه النتائج ديالهم ايجابيه وايجابيه بزاف. الور the work isn't interesting, indeed not very interesting, but I like to be able to go home. ها هي التوازنات بدات ترجع، وكانه بحال اكتشفنا بان في مقابل واحد السلبيه وحده اللي تقدر تكون بسيطه، عندنا 4 الايجابيات. هنايا هذا الشخص هذا النظره ديالو واش سلبيه ولا ايجابيه في نظركم ملي جمعنا هذه المعطيات؟ سورتو الا زدنا معها واحد الكاليتي اخرى، a reasonable time، شخص يقدر يبقى ليه وقت كافي يخرج من الجو ديال الخدمه ويدخل لاجواء اجتماعيه اخرى، يندمج ثاني في اوساط اخرين، راه غادي يكون بحال هكا تعطى راسو فرصه يشوف الامور عطات روبوزي. اوكي، alors there is a reasonable time for that person to be with the family. That means that with 4 positivities or 4 positive aspects against one which may seem to be negative, this person has a positive view. Okay, we all have to clock in and clock out. It is necessary for these people to do exactly as in to the man in the image over here, clocking in when they are getting in to work, or clocking out when they are going out of work. This is a way to let's say supervise the presence or absenteeism of the employees. We all have to clock in and clock out every day, but please mind this word all. It means that in a paradigm we can get groups of people who have to clock in and clock out. Are they going to be the people in the lowest rank or in the middle rank or in the higher rank of the society or company? You can find that with the word all these are involved, not just the ones in below. You will be finding yourselves again dealing with all that as if there is some justice. And you can find out when you work in such kind of conditions where there is justice, you can feel that you can be part of the group. You're not under pressure. With work like this, which is not very interesting, there are some other characteristics of being, able to do a number of things which these persons like. Again, when you have to clock in and clock out and everyone is concerned, including the managers, even the managers have to, it is something unusual where we can find some justice. And it becomes that everyone is concerned with performance, including the managers. There is some justice in that. Okay? This could be just taken as a way of making things, quite promising in terms of integrity. Let's have a look at paragraph 2. I'm in computer programming. There is a system of flexitime in my company, which means we can work when we want within certain limits. We can start at any time before 11 and finish as early as 3, as long as we do enough hours each month. It's ideal for me, as I have 2 young children. Well, the second paragraph talks about someone else's. In it, someone else is saying or speaking their experience out. This person in question has something to do with this field of production or of business. I'm in. And please, mind please the way you may express or talk about your job. I'm in this sector. Here is a compound noun which comprises of 2 words, computer programming. I'm in computer programming. Programming for what? It is for computers. And this is quite fair and fairly clear by way of the compound we have at hand. I'm in computer programming. There is a system of flexitime in my company. Well, in the first line we have again to distinguish the job or the work as being old or new in terms of system. Here is a system of flexitime. What do you think the word may suggest or dictate? Is it a new job or an old job? A new system or an old system? Flexitime. In British English, you can get just one word as flexitime, but in American English, there is flex together with time. Flex time. This is a slight difference between the 2 ways of either British or American English, but the system which is flexible means that we can start at when we want. We can start when we want. When you study these examples, you would find that it's about something that we must all learn about by way of giving more details. It's not really when we want, in the general sense of the term, but with certain limits, within certain limits. Well, I think I can give you this text for study, and I'm going to send you exercises for that. I mean the whole text. Okay? I need to download the list for those who are attending this session, together with the code. Do you have any questions regarding the documents I will be sending you, or the ones I sent you earlier?
Okay.
Well, you are not going to get tested over topics like these, but these are going to get you integrated in the field of work. They are going to give you words to use and meanings and maybe ideas, more than just talking or giving you vocabulary. دي دوكيمون بحال هكا واخا راهما خاصين بالفوكابولير نورمالمون، وانما راه ماشي تعطيونا غير الفوكابولير، راه تيديروا لنا على امور غادي نصادفوها قدامنا. ممكن نلقاو الخدمه اللي غنخدم فيها يكون فيها سيستم بهذا الشكل. راه السيستم تيبقى ماشي بوحدو اللي كاين في المساله، راه حتى المكاسب اللي غنكسب منه يمكن ان السيستم ما كيرضينيش، ما مرتاحش معاه، ولكن ممكن يكونوا مكاسب اخرين اللي ماشي بالضروره تكون مكاسب ماديه، وهذه المساله اللي غادي نكتشفوها هنايا. كاين واحد المكسب هنا اللي هو اساسي بالنسبه للاندماج في اي مقاوله منتجه ولا انتاجيه، هو انه تكون القابليه للاندماج في المقاوله. مادام كان عناصر تتسمح بالاندماج، اللي اول واحد فيهم هو لا ترونسبارونس. ولا قلنا لا ترونسبارونس راه قلنا لا جوستيس. كاينه انجوستيس، اوكي؟ فاش تقول كاينه ترونسبارونس راه كاينه كومونيكاسيون، وهادو هما جوج العوامل الاهم في الاندماج. حنا هنا بحال تندويو على هذوك العناصر، كيفاش تقرا داك الوضع وكيفاش تتعامل معاه. انا هادو غير امثله، يمكن غادي نتعامل معاهم في ليكزارسيس على حسب الفوكابولير، ولكن راه حنا قرينا حتى بين السطور. between the lines. تنحاولوا نفهموا بعض القضايا اللي تكلم عليها هذا الشخص واللي تكلم على الشخص الاخر واللي غيتكلم على الشخص الاخر ثاني، وغادي هكذاك حتى نعاودوا نوصلوا، لانه كاين مبادئ اخرين موجودين في وسط نفس الوسط المهني اللي ماشي فيهم فقط غير نوع القطاع ولا السيستم، راه حتى بعض المعطيات اللي نقدروا نكتشفوها تتميز واحد السيستم او لا تتميز واحد الطريقه ديال التسيير معين، وبالتالي تنبداو نتعاملوا حتى على طريقه التسيير اللي تتراعي بالدرجه الاولى لو روندمون. طريقه التسيير غادي تحدد على اساس انه يكون واحد المردوديه مع هذيك الطريقه، او لا الا كانت المردوديه في تراجع نقدروا نغيروا الطريقه. داكشي باش دوينا على وايز، طرق ديال التسيير وماشي غير طريقه واحده. اذا راه في جميع الحالات تندوي على مردوديه، والمردوديه هي اللي فرضت انه يكون تنوع في الطرق ديال التسيير. المردوديه راه ما تعنيش انه يكون نتائج فقط، راه حتى العامل البشري، العنصر البشري ما يكونش تحت ضغوطات، ما ما ما, تت... ما عندهاش نتيجه، ما كاينش نتيجه ايجابيه موراه. بالعكس راه خاص ضمن الاستمراريه حتى ديال المردوديه ديال الاشخاص والاطول مده ممكنه. صافي دير ما يكونش ضغوطات تمارس على هذوك الاشخاص لدرجه انه يمكن الاداء ديالهم والمردوديه ديالهم تراجع في اقرب وقت، ولا ما تستمرش، او لا يكون تاثير على هذوك الاشخاص. دونك راه المردوديه تتراعي حتى الاستمراريه. الور راه السيستم تيناسب حتى الجانب الانساني. على العموم هذا موضوع غادي نحاولوا نكملوه من بعد في مواضيع، من خلال مواضيع اخرى.